God said, "Let there be light." And God divided the light from the darkness.
Myths are clues to the rapture of being alive. That's what it's all finally about. The human woman does give birth as the earth gives birth to the plants. She gives nourishment as the plants do. So woman magic and earth magic are the same. They are related. And the personification then of this energy which gives birth to forms and nourishes forms is properly female.
Life obeys exquisite rhythms of behavior, dictated by the seasons, commands of evolution. But as long as we believed the center of the universe was the earth beneath our feet, we created myths, and the seasons, like many of nature's puzzles, belong to the spirits and gods.
There is a plant consciousness. The tree, it opens a leaf, and that leaf immediately turns to where the sun is. Now, you can't tell me that leaf doesn't know where the sun is going to be. All of the leaves go just like that, what's called heliotropism, turning toward where the sun is. That's a form of consciousness. There is a animal consciousness, and we share all of these things. You eat certain foods, and the bile knows whether there's something there for it to go to work on. I mean, this whole thing is consciousness. I begin to feel more and more that the whole world is conscious. Certainly the vegetable world is conscious. And when you live in the woods, as I did as a kid, you can see all these different consciousnesses relating to themselves. And you see, if you will think of ourselves as coming out of the earth, we are the earth. We are the consciousness of the earth. These are the eyes of the earth. And this is the voice of the earth. What else?
Scientists are beginning to talk quite openly about the Gaia principle.
The whole planet as an organism.
Mother Earth.
And so it is in the agricultural world of ancient Mesopotamia, the Egyptian Nile, but also in the earlier planting culture systems that the goddess is the mythic form that is dominant. Personifying the energies of nature which transform past into future. I'm going to start here in South Turkey, Anatolia as it's called, a little town called Çatalhöyük. Here is a very early 6000 BC representation of the goddess. And there are a number of traits here that are essential. One is the towering neck. This is the world axis. She is the axis. Here is the bird figure on the top of the neck. She is bird goddess, spiritual goddess. Obviously a human female with the breasts. Here's the whole mythology in a cluster in front of us here. Here is another enthroned goddess, broken, but the labyrinth, and the navel, the world navel, that which connects to the mother. So these are agricultural people harvesting a grain of some kind. Their tools are not weapons. Here is a sickle of copper from that date, 5000 BC. These are heavy copper tools, and they are used for carpentry and/or agriculture. These are peaceful cities, planting people in high mountain valleys, and later in the great river valleys, Tigris, Euphrates, and Nile. And then over in India, the Indus Valley, and later the Ganges. This is the world of the goddess. All these rivers have goddess names, finally. These are peaceful cities. It's only later that the walls begin appearing that indicate raids coming from the desert and Great Plains. Two orders of barbarians. One, the Semites, from the Syro-Arabian desert, raiding in from the south. The others, the Indo-Europeans, raiding in from the north. The Indo-Europeans are herders of cattle, and it is they who first domesticated the horse and invented the war chariot, which became an invincible weapon. Nomadic, coming into conflict with other people, and they have to conquer the area they move into. This comes into the Near East. And this brings in the warrior gods, like Zeus, like Yahweh.
The sword and death instead of fertility.
Right.
There's some image of Shiva, the god Shiva, surrounded by circles of flame, rings of fire.
That's the dance of the world, the dancer whose dance is the universe. And in this hand, he has a little drum that goes tick, tick, tick. That is the drum of time, the tick of time which shuts out eternity. And we are enclosed in that. In this hand, there is a flame which burns away the veil of time. Now we come to 2350 BC, Sargon I. This is the first known important Semitic emperor in this zone. These people have come in from the Syro-Arabian desert. They come in as conquerors and then as rulers. It is at about this time that wars of conquest come into being. Formerly, wars were simply revenge wars or ceremonial wars like the one I showed in New Guinea. And a village would be raided and that was it. But now we have substantial conquest, and we have hymns and celebrations celebrating these conquests, tearing down and annihilating of cities, and a refrain that comes back, and we washed our weapons in the sea, and we washed our weapons in the sea. So here it is, about 2400 BC, the beginnings of the kind of war that have been distinctive of our world of civilization ever since. And ruthless annihilation of the whole population. Just read the book of Judges, read the book of Joshua.
It must have felt as though the gods wished to destroy mankind. In the same period, China fell, Egypt was overrun. Everywhere refugees were on the move.
The timeless idyll of the nature religions yields to a temporally ordered process, so that civilizations emerge that have histories, a youth, a maturity, and an aging. And we'll see where we are on this cycle.
Not till the battle was over did I cross the battlefield. Many a man lay in eternal rest, a sword blade rising from his breast.
Cesar moment, vice proxima. Ipse iuravit sanguis erit meus, eces mea veritas.
Muhammad's troops fought with every confidence that God's will was guiding them.
Hope, hope, fallacious hope, he wrote, where is thy market now?
Knowledge and information on all aspects of this new weapon are essential.
As the future combat systems become available to us, we insert them and we become more and more and more like what we envisioned in the past. But you know, we're never going to arrive someplace that we're going to stop. It's open-ended.
Some of the collisions might create micro black holes.
They go way back into the Bronze Age in their beginnings. They really wipe out the goddess. The term for the goddess, the Canaanite goddess that's used in the Old Testament, is the abomination. Everything in the field of time is dual, past and future, good and evil, dead and alive. The fall of man into the field of time, out of the timeless rapture, you might say, of Eden. It started with a sin, you see. In other words, moving out of the mythological zone, the Garden of Paradise, where there is no time, and where women don't even know that they're different from each other. The two are just creatures. And then they eat the apple, the knowledge of the pairs of opposites. And man and woman then cover their shame. They're different. Man in nature is against man. You see, with that fall in the garden, nature was regarded as corrupt. There's a myth for you that corrupts the whole world for us. And every spontaneous act is sinful because nature is corrupt and has to be corrected, must not be yielded to. You get a totally different civilization, a totally different way of living according to your myth as to whether nature is fallen or whether nature is itself a manifestation of divinity, and the spirit being the revelation of the divinity that's inherent in nature.